Get Warrior Tough, Mental Training 101 with Andrew Wittman and Dutch Coleman. And now back to Andrew and Dutch.
All right, we're back at it. Andrew and Dutch, Dutch and Andrew. Hashtag Get Warrior Tough on the Twitter. Dutch is at the Dutch Coleman. I'm at Warrior Tough PhD. Go to getwarriortough.com. All right, Dutch. So before the break, we were talking about this crazy number that 60%, 6 out of every 10 workers in the U.S. wish, hope, prefer, are begging to have a different career altogether than they're in right now. And then we wonder why burnout is such a huge problem, why stress is such a huge problem, medical problems are so huge due to stress. $300 billion a year spent by employers due to stress-related incidents and loss of work and days off. It's just, it's mind-boggling to me that many people, like, why would you even get into that career in the first place then? And this goes back to what we were talking about last week. It's not okay to not have a target. It's not okay if you're a kid to not have any idea of what you're going to do. It's not okay to just be undeclared and just kind of weasel your way through and hope you'll get a degree and hope something will happen and just, and take whatever comes along, because you're going to be in that 60%. And that's just what the empirical data says. It's not my opinion. That's the data.
Well, you just took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to reference last week as well and ask you, where do you think it began? And that's exactly what's happening right now. That people are settling. People are entering situations, entering the unknown without a plan. And people are okay with that. People are accepting moving forward without a target, without a vision. That's akin to shooting a weapon in a crowd with no target, or just in a space.
Yeah, it's just
anywhere. Like, it doesn't matter what you hit until you hit something you don't want and you end up miserable. So, I hate to use a weapon, but you hit something that you don't want and you're upset, you're saddened because it was unfortunate. Well, you can be stuck in absolutely. You can be stuck in a career for 20 years and be miserable and stressed out, and who knows how that's going to end.
That's the other piece. If you want to be in another career altogether, then why don't you? Take the steps to go get another career. And the fact that you don't is just adding to your stress and your burnout. Now, here's the top 4 leading causes of stress in the workplace. You ready, Dutch? You buckled up for this? Here's the top 4. What do you think they are? Just give a guess.
The top
just
4
one.
causes
just give me
for
one.
stress
Yeah, what
in
do
the
you think?
workplace?
Yeah, what do you think? No, what do you think one of them is? One of the top 4.
Oh my goodness. Pay.
It's not pay.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, but you would think, because people are always worried about, because what's that first one? Yeah. What's the job pay? And that's not the cause of stress.
The relationship, the workplace environment.
Okay, so people issues that's a top one. People issues, working with knuckleheads. But if you're there, right, and if you're there and you're one of them, don't be complaining about the other knuckleheads, and don't go someplace that has no knuckleheads and you're one of them, because then you'll bring a knucklehead with you.
I love that.
That's one of them. Another one of the top 4 is workload. I work too hard, which we talked about. They
touched on that.
Right. They lay people off and they just tack it on your plate. Juggling work life and personal life. Juggling work and personal life is a stress. Right. I got the Little League game. We got, I got to be at work here, and I got that dinner, and then, we got to travel, and, all that. And then here's another one, rounding off the top 4, lack of job security. You're just afraid you're going to lose a job that you wish you didn't have in the first place. I don't even get that, dude. Could somebody explain that to me? You're afraid to lose a job that you hate and you wish you didn't have anyway? I don't get it, man.
But you know what, though? It's par for the course. It's par for the course, because when you're scrambled, when you're disorganized, when you don't have a plan, you're subject to a bunch of nonsense. You're subject to a bunch of things that make absolutely no sense. And this is one of them. I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right. It makes no sense. Why am I fighting for something that I'd rather not have?
You don't want it anyway, man. So you're stressed out because you might lose a job that you hate and you wish you didn't have in the first place. It just is mind-boggling, dude.
Who finally put that fire out? Who finally did that? Who did that?
Yeah.
Just let it burn. Get out of there.
I don't know, man. Oh, all right. So here's some red flags that you might be under stress, and you might be, because some people might be like, well, I don't know if I'm coming up on burnout or not. I don't know if I'm stressed. Here's the top 4 symptoms, the top 4 signals that you are that are caused by occupational pressures. First one, that you're complaining of stress. If you complain about stress, that might be a clue. I sound like I'm that Foxworthy guy, right? The redneck guy.
Right.
Or here's your sign or whatever. I don't know. It was like they're all mixed up. There was like a cable guy and somebody with taters and salad. I don't know. But anyway, so they all mashed together. If you're complaining of stress, that's a clue you're under stress. If you got headaches, which Dutch, you and I have talked about this, that's the number one cause of doctor's visits right there. Headaches, 100 million in the U.S. Fatigue, if you go around saying I'm tired, I'm exhausted, that's a clue you're under stress. And then if you're suffering from back pain, and it's a clue. And then there's hormonal reasons for that, and we've talked about this before. That the hormone ACTH, when you feel bad, it secretes into your system, which blocks endorphins, which make you feel good, and so it turns acute pain into chronic pain. And when you're under stress, it shows up in your back, and a lot of that's hormonal.
Well, that's almost like that's home base. Your back. I was told this as a ninth grade. I remember talking to the doctor, and he was saying basically your back was like the center of everything. And if there was any problems, boy, you best believe it, your back would feel it.
Yeah, it'll let you know.
And I was like, man, it's like throughout life you keep hearing things in reference to that back. It's almost like it's home base. It's a central part of everything. And
I know, Dutch. I'm telling you every week, to get the ratings up, put your back into the show, man. Put your back into it, dude. Come on.
You know what? It's true that the back is strong. If it truly is the center, if it's holding up all this, we say you got to have a strong back to do stuff. I can't. Yeah.
All right. So, and then here's the spiraling down. There's just a spiraling effect that the human and the capital costs of stress. They have such far-reaching ramifications for both the economy and public health that we need to get in front of it. And if you're not one of the 60% that you're 25% that are burned out, 26% that are in burnout already, the 40% that are under extreme stress, the question that I was asked by the human resource people, can we get in front of this thing? And yes, we can. And you can be proactive and you can build your armor. And so Dutch and I are going to spend the rest of today's show giving you some tips, and these are right out of Ground Zero Leadership, CEO of You. It's right out of our coaching curriculum. It's right out of the book, Dutch, that we teach. And we're going to lay out, I don't know if I have 10 queued up here on a list in front of me. I don't know if we'll get through all 10. If not, you know where to get them. Go to Get Warrior Tough, get the book, whatever, and you can study these in more depth. But the first thing is resilience, right? So it's a mindset of being resilient. When you and I, we call it mentally tough. But there is a thing out there right now about workplace resilience. And so there's a guy named Michael Unger, and he said that resilience, he defined it this way. Resilience is better understood as the opportunity and the capacity of individuals to navigate their way to psychological, social, cultural, and physical resources that may sustain their well-being. And I like that definition, because it's not just, work, but so it's not just psychological, it's also social, how we get along with other people, it's our culture, the climate that we live in, it's also our physical health, and we take all these resources, so mental, emotional, social, cultural, and physical, and we take those resources, how can we sustain our well-being and navigate that the minefield that is 2016, the economy and the workplace and the political environment that is 2016.
That's a lot there. But it's as you hear it, you begin to understand it. As you break it down, you begin to understand what's going on. So it's good to hear these things and you understand, like, how when you hear something, you start shaking your head like, you know what, that's right. And so a lot of these studies they give you those aha moments if you hadn't been keeping up or if you doubted in any way. Sometimes just sitting still and listening to the information can be a start to making you do better because it's confirmed in your own life when you hear it. You hear this data and it seems like they're talking about something else until you start listening and you realize they're talking about you a lot of times. They're talking about things that you've seen. They're talking about stuff that you already knew, but they're packaging it in a way that can help you to understand what's going on. So this is good stuff.
Yeah, I agree, man. And of course I do because this is our business. It's our livelihood. It's our passion in life. So here's the thing, that mental toughness or resilience, we'll call it resilience because that's what the human resource people ask me, resilience, but we call it mental toughness. But it's an actual process. And you and I, Dutch, we teach process, we preach process, we scream process. It's process, process, process. It is not a character or personality trait. Mental toughness is not character or personality trait. It's actually a process. So anybody, this is great news, Dutch, because that means that anybody can become mentally tough or resilient.
Anybody. So if you're out there and you thought otherwise, stop it. This is accessible. We make it accessible. We make it we make it plain for you. You know, anybody can learn this. This is a skill. It's a tool. It's a craft. It's however you want to put it. All those things are acquired. Now, can someone be born with more of an aptitude towards it? Can someone be born? Absolutely. You know, the same way someone can be born with some type of propensity to make jump shots, but I can also learn to make them as well. I can also learn to make a layup. I can learn these things. It's a process. So if you're out there and you're thinking otherwise, you're wrong. Stop it. Today it ends. You're understanding, you're learning, and we're going to tell you exactly where to get it.
Absolutely. Now, and that definition of resilience I gave for Michael Unger is a little uppity, okay? So I like to keep things simple, and I'm going to break it down. So here's what to become more resilient means. To increase your ability to bounce back from adversity, crisis, stress, and even calamities and tragedy. That's what it is. It's your ability to bounce back from whatever, anytime that life kicks you in the teeth. If there's a crisis, if you're stressed, if you're burnt out, if you got passed over for a promotion, if you did get laid off, if your partner got laid off and now you got to do both jobs, resilience and mental toughness is the ability to bounce back. And you can increase that ability and get better at it if you just stick with us, kid. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So,
yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, a lot of people don't even understand what's happening when it's happening. They don't even understand what's happening to them. And they definitely don't have the skill set to pull, because it's in us. So we teach you how to go down that path and how to get it from outside you. As Andrew has always said, we're all superheroes. We have these superpowers, but we're going to teach you how to access them, how to get them, how to pull them up out of you. That's what we do. So we're not talking about magic. We're not talking about something that only a certain percent of the population have. We're talking about something that everyone can get, and we're going to help you get there.
Absolutely. Now, Dutch, during my time, when I was in high-threat environments, right, back when I was a gunslinger getting shot at for a living, right, I came across a lot of cases of, I'll say not a lot, but many cases of post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay, we come across them. We've all read stories about them, Dutch. You hear about them in the news, but what you don't hear about is that the majority of professional warriors that make our living in high-threat environments suffer from a thing called PTG. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
It's post-traumatic growth. And when we get back from the break, I'm going to talk about post-traumatic growth and how the professional warriors use it as a stealing effect, an armor, a psychological and emotional armor to bounce back from crises and tragedy. You're listening to the Get Warrior Tough radio show with Andrew and Dutch.